So, as it's Halloween, some of you have produced some very spooky looking homework, and here's just a few of the more frightening examples. Now I have to choose a winner out of all these, including the pumpkin, which is not here. That was starting to rot, so it went home. But I can't quite decide which is the scariest. I'll have to think about that over the weekend. However, arguably, this maths problem here is just as terrifying. Now, this was set as an extension homework for some of you in year 7, and I was really pleased to see that some people actually managed to find the answer, because it is particularly challenging. So just going to have a look briefly at one way of solving this problem. Now you can just try and guess the numbers here, but I'm going to try and show a systematic method that would work every single time. So the rule is the two numbers in the circles must add up to the number in the square. So in this case, that add that has to make 4, and also that add that has to make 1. So for example, we could have perhaps 3 in this circle here, and maybe we could have -2 in that circle. That would work, but of course it's not the only possibility. You could also have 2 and -1, or indeed you could switch them round and you could have -1 there, and maybe you could have 2 over there. All of these combinations work. So it is possible to solve it by just guessing them, but it would be a very lucky guess if you managed that. So here's one way you could do that. You can put a symbol of a question mark, and if you've done some algebra before, you'll know that often in maths we use the letter X when we mean something we don't know, but I'm going to use a question mark in this case. And I can now say that whatever goes in here has to add to this question mark to make 1. Well, I don't know what it's going to be, but I can be sure that if I put a 1 in here and I do take away the question mark, that's going to leave me with 1, because you've got the positive question mark, the negative question mark. When you add these two together, they're going to cancel out and disappear, but we're going to be left with 1. So whatever it is, you're going to get 1 as the answer. We can now move down over here. Well, I've got to do the same thing again. I've got to try and cancel out my question mark and leave my number so that I get -1 at the end. Well, I've already got a negative question mark here, so if I put a positive question mark, that's going to cancel that out. I've already got a +1, and I want to get a -1, so I'm going to put -2 here. So I'm going to cancel out my question marks, and I'm left with just 1, subtract 2, and I get -1. Same thing here. Get rid of the question mark, so I'll put a negative question mark in there. I'm trying to get -7 overall, so -2, going to need another -5 to make this -7. And I've got one more to do here. Trying to get 5, I'll put a positive question mark to cancel out my negative question mark, and I'm trying to get +5. I've already got -5 here, so I'm going to have to add 10. Okay, we've got all the way round the shape now. These two have to add up to 4. If I write this sum out down here, let's move this a bit so you can see it. We've got question mark, that's from that one, add question mark, add 10 equals 4. So these two together, add 10, must make 4. Well, these two are going to have to be -6, because how am I going to get from 10 to 4? Must be by taking away 6. So 2 question marks added together makes -6. They're both the same value because they're both a single question mark, therefore it's -3. What I've got to do now is take this and go back round the shape and fill in the answers. So if the question mark is -3, that means, well, that's just going to be -3. 1 subtract -3, that's going to be 4. Just double check it works. -3 plus 4, yep, it's 1. -3 subtract 2, that's -5. Does this work as well? 4, -5, minus 1, yep, okay. Negative question mark, so it's going to be +3, subtract 5, that's negative, it's going to be -2. Does that work? Yes. -3 add 10, that's going to be 7. Does that work? Yes. Does this work? Yes. Okay, so we have solved it. That's quite a challenging problem, but maybe that gives you some idea about how you could have done it. Happy Halloween.